everybody. Welcome to My Favorite Shitty Movie. That's right. We are back. Thank God, with a comedy, which I think we can all use some laughter and joy in our lives. Tonight, we're here to talk about the 1996, I guess, reasonable hit, a small hit, Kingpin by the Farrelly brothers. Their warm-up, I guess, to Something About Mary. When it was like peak and they were huge and we could do R-rated comedies and we didn't seem to get hung up on every joke. It was kind of a different time back in 96. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. I'm also very excited. First time guest tonight, Carrie Bible, who is amazing and such a huge film buff. And when I asked her if she'd kind of come play in our sandbox, I thought, oh, she knows everything about old movies. Like she's been on like TCM and she hosts the Hollywood Kitchen and it's like stars of yesteryear and all their recipes. And I've never seen her not in like 20s to 50s dresses, like when we've been out and about in the real world. And she's such an aficionado of old Hollywood. So much to my surprise, she's like, I'm going to do Kingpin. I went, what? And it was super exciting because I think it was such a good choice for the hellscape. I mean, the timeline that we find ourselves in. So I'm really excited. We got some humor on the show. Last week, of course, we did The Creeping Terror, which was unintentional humor. So we're here for you people, always trying to uplift you. Before I get too far into the crazy rabbit hole that we're about to go down, I am going to bring in my co-captain of mayhem, the guy who pushes all the buttons and does the great Anderson Family Player reenactments that we have come to know, love, and expect and to see, separated out the next day. Tonight, it'll be Todd Munson, but we know him as Todd Anderson. Todd, bring yourself into the show. Hello.
Hi, Tracy. God damn it. I've been Munsoned.
You've been Munsoned.
I've been Munsoned. I was once great, and I blew it, apparently.
So we're making you Munsoned again, is what I'm hearing.
I guess.
Mm.
The Farrelly brothers are always a thing that I enjoy on some level. One of Hillary's favorite movies is Dumb and Dumber. So,
yeah,
it keeps us there. This came, like you said, this came before There's Something About Mary.
I believe so. I think it's Dumb and Dumber, This and Mary, isn't it? It's around there.
When did Me, Myself, and Irene was after this?
I feel like it was after it. We've done that on the show.
Yeah, we did. Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I mean, and I just feel like after like this era of the Farrelly brothers, it really started to get dicey for a long time. And there's one that I can think of that I liked after this era, which was Hall Pass, which is, it's an aggressively offensive movie, but that's why you watch a Farrelly brothers movie. But like there was like Shallow Hal and
yes,
and what was the one with the Siamese twins that were Matt Damon and Greg Kinnear?
Step Brothers or Stuck on You or something.
Stuck on You, that's it.
Yeah.
Step Brothers is good, but that's not a Farrelly brothers movie.
Let's see. It goes Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, Mary, and Irene. There you go. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, I have to admit, as you know, comedy is not always like the big broad comedies. Like my idea of a great comedy is like Working Girl and Broadcast News. Like I'm that snob. So I'm like, let's bring on the Kevin Rabe and the James L. Brooks. But so I sometimes tend to miss these movies in the theater. And so I have to admit, I'd never seen Kingpin in the theater. I remember the poster. I remember all my friends.
You just watch it now?
I just watched it for the first time.
This is your first time.
I did, because again, I don't seek out usually the broader comedies. And
so how did it go for you? How was it?
What's funny, again, I'm a good Gen Xer, so look, we've elected an adjudicated rapist, so it's very hard to be offended at things like comedy for me at this point. So what I thought was interesting about seeing this film for the first time, so out of its own time, was that, and I think it's why their early films did so well, there's a lot of heart to it. There's a sweetness under it.
Oh yeah, they always have sweetness in there.
So it's not crass and crude just to be crass and crude, because there's a little more going on, which I think makes it more interesting. And I think probably why people like it so much and it's so fun. I think it's a totally fun watch. I had a good time. I love seeing, I feel like I can never get enough Bill Murray. I love watching him. I really appreciated all the craziness. Randy Quaid is good. I think this is before he went mental. I'm not sure, but he gives a great performance throughout this as the.
I think he was mental the whole time. I mean, I think that's what we all need to accept about Randy Quaid.
I don't know. I mean, he used to seem normal, but like this,
you saw Parents. He said, "I'll do Parents." So
I thought he was great in this. I thought was it Angel? Help me, her name, the lead actress. Was it Victoria?
I can't remember her name, but
yes.
it's important to note, by the way, Tracy, that Randy Quaid liked my favorite shitty movies response to his post on X, formerly known as Twitter.
I love that.
Which I thought was great. Like he was saying some crazy MAGA thing, and I was like, well, would you still run away and hide in Canada?
Yeah.
And he liked it. And so, okay. All right.
It's good to know we have such, esteemed audience members. I thought he was great in this. I thought, and thank you, Jeff. Vanessa Angel, she's wonderful. She was like kind of the hot girl from Spies Like Us that I think all the boys loved. She looks like a young Catherine Bach here. I mean, she's really very fun and is given some great lines. So I thought it's a great cast. There's a sweetness to it. Even though it's close to 2 hours, which I always feel comedies really rarely need to be. It's just, there's a lot of joy.
Like, so true about the Farrelly brothers oeuvre is they had a sweetness to it, like some kind of heart thing. And I feel like that was this thing in the late 90s, certainly in early aughts, that the studios said, no matter what your movie is, you got to put some heart into it.
Yeah.
And so often in the Farrelly brothers movies, it feels tacked on and unnecessary. But in this one, it actually works. So, there's that.
It's a fun movie. I'm wondering. I think it's talked about. I feel like I see it revived a lot, like in LA at least, in some of the revival houses. It pairs with that, so I think it's one of the more highly remembered or regarded of the brothers films. But what do I know? But I certainly enjoyed.
There aren't people still talking about Shallow Hal?
Yeah, but for all the wrong reasons, I mean, like even Paltrow's like, maybe I shouldn't have played that role. I mean, what is great about Gwyneth, so many things are great about Gwyneth, but I love when I remember this interview she gave when the film came out. And she was like, yeah, in order to do research, I put on like a fat suit and then I went to the Brentwood Country Mart and like nobody noticed me. Like no one said hi. No one looked at me. And I thought, oh, and then and I'm like, you're saying this out loud. Like it's kind of like, or we could have just hired like a plus size gal with talent and had her play that role.
And I can walk down the street right now with no fat suit and people also will not recognize me.
That is not true. Let me introduce our esteemed guest who is lowering her classy standards to be on my favorite shitty movie this evening with us. She is born a heterochromatic baby, which is really a fancy way of saying she has two different colored eyes, just kind of like David Bowie, which is really cool. Her last name really is Bible, y'all, and she was born on Halloween night, so watch out. She has
Are we in danger? Are we in danger having her on?
She's very good. In fact, her black cat is named Close Up because she met the cat in one of her day jobs. She is an impeccable, and if you live in Los Angeles or you're visiting Los Angeles, you must go to the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and Carrie is the guide there. She's fashioned an amazing series actually of tours. She knows the ins and outs of all the folks' final resting places there. It's a who's who. It's a history of Hollywood. And really incredible. I think she worked up the pitch with her tour with Mark Wanamaker and other historians, and it's actually legitimate and wonderful. And if you love old Hollywood, you should really go. It's also a really beautiful cemetery. So I want to put that out there. Aforementioned, she does collect gowns from the 20s and the 50s. So if you'll see her, you will always remember her. She has lectured at the Old Town Music Hall and the Queen Mary, the Homestead Museum. And she is also, which I think is so cool, the Lady in Black. And so those of you who are Rudolph Valentino fans, when he passed, and there were people who were crushed to death and everyone was out in the streets and it was so sad, there was a mysterious woman in a black veil, and people think they know who it is. And every year on the anniversary of his death, there'd be, kisses on the marble, tomb. There would be roses left. And who was this mysterious woman in black? And it's something that is maintained to this day. And I believe Carrie's been doing it for many, many a moon. So she's literally Valentino's Lady in Black, which, I'm sorry, is so cool. I just wanted to highlight that. She also created the e-newsletter filmradar.com, which is about all the specialty films going on in Los Angeles. And she has appeared in segments on Turner Classic Movies, CNN, History Channel, Travel Channel. Last summer, she was in the PBS series World's Greatest Cemeteries, which was hosted by Roberto Mai. She co-authored the book Location Filming in Los Angeles with historians again, Mark Wanamaker and Harry Medved, and co-authored Hollywood Celebrates the Holidays with Mary Mallory. Tonight, we are very lucky to have her on our program to talk about the 1996 Farrelly Brothers film. Please welcome a big clap for Carrie Bible. Welcome to the show, Carrie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being our Bible.
You're my favorite Bible.
Well, when Tracy Mercer approached me about this, my first thought was, this is a chance to do something different than what I normally do in my wheelhouse. And I think what people don't often know about me is that I do love modern film as well. I mean, I went to film school. I watch films from every era all around the world. And also, I kind of have a side to me that people don't rarely see. Like, I'm close with my little brother who lives in Georgia, and he and I share a sick, twisted, gross out sense of humor together. And Kingpin is kind of this major tie that binds my brother and I. It's kind of our sibling language with each other. Aww. So I thought this is a chance to talk about my brother, to talk about a movie I never get to talk about, to do something I don't get to do. So I was excited to do it.
Yay. Well, thank you for coming on. Tell us about, did you and your brother see it together when it first came out? Did you see it independently? How did you first discover the film?
I'm pretty sure we saw it together on VHS in our parents' living room, as we probably should. And we just fell in love with that movie, and we watched it over and over. And we just were so my brother and I get really gross when we're together. So the puking and all the funny scenes in the movie, like, again, it's kind of how we communicate. Like, if I'm really busy and I don't have a lot of time to call my brother, but I'm thinking about him, I'll just text him an emoji of puke and like a toilet. And that's like our way of going, thinking about you, so busy right now. And like at Christmas, I was at LAX, and of course, lampooned there for a while, is often the case. And I texted with my brother, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I'm at LAX," and he just texted me back a picture of Bill Murray and Kingpin. So it's like, yeah, in other words, you're Munson. You're at the airport, right? And like tonight, actually, I texted my brother I was going to do your show, and I told him about it, and he texted me back. Let's see, it's really funny. Where is it? Hang on.
I love that this is a family film.
I do. You just reminded me, for a number of years with my brother, we would trade gas station desserts that we found. Oh. We would literally find like the worst desserts that you would find at a gas station, and we'd put them in a package and send them to each other.
I have to talk about gas stations on this episode too, because that ties into my brother and I's relationship. But my brother texted me, "Nice, Munson jarred something loose." That was his response to my doing this.
Oh, we'll have a clip of that later.
we were both like in our 20s. My brother and I did a whole bunch of road trips around the country. And we'd stop at like every gas station, or whenever we had to stop and go to the bathroom or rest stops or whatever. And we got to this thing where we'd evaluate the gas station bathrooms, but they couldn't just be any kind of commentary. They had to be poetic and profound and contradictory. So my brother would be like, "Okay, we just stopped in Shreveport. What'd you think of the toilet at the rest stop?" And I'd be like, "It was refreshing and it was devastating." If we would just make up all these games or word games and just reviews of bathrooms all over America at gas stations. And yeah, but Kingpin is so important to my brother and I's relationship.
Oh, I love that. And so we always ask guests when they first come on the show, for you, like what makes a great kind of shitty movie? What's your definition of that? And by way of that, it seems like, because it means a lot to your brother and you love comedies and you have a sick sense of humor, which we love. But what do you think of as a great shitty movie? Like why this one?
Well, I think there's two kinds of shitty movies, and just my humble opinion, of course, you disagree with me, but there's the first kind that's like, that sucked so bad, it was kind of glorious, and I loved it. And then there's that sucked, and I am never getting that hour and a half to 2 hours of my life back again, and I'm angry. And those are the two kinds of movies for the most part. So, like during lockdown, one of my friends and I, we had little shitty movie nights, and we would all watch a movie together over Zoom as a group, because a lot of us lived alone. It was like the only communication we had.
Yes.
And one night we watched Cats, the Universal Cats adaptation. And at one point we did my friend took a screenshot, because you see all the little squares like the Brady Bunch of everybody's face. Right. I have to find the screenshot, but every one of us is like,
like, what are we seeing?
Faces, these grimaces of pain and agony.
Yeah, you're like, why is Judi Dench wearing a fur coat? She's a cat. Like
that movie is so offensive on every level.
It's so unfortunate. Yeah, it is unfortunate.
And we came up with these crazy double feature. Like one night we did a double feature. The first movie was Cats. The second movie was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yes.
I consider a great crappy movie.
Killer Tomatoes is a way better movie than Cats.
And my friend, Mary Stanford, she is a huge theater aficionado, and she goes, Carrie, can we do a theater horrible presentation? I was like, why not? It's lockdown. We can do whatever we want. And I couldn't believe this actually existed, but we watched a theatrical sequel to Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera, where the Phantom goes to Coney Island. I kid you not. It was so shockingly horrific. I was like,
what does he do on Coney Island?
Well, it's like he leaves the Paris Opera and goes to Coney Island.
As one does.
As one does, of course. But then Christine had a secret baby with the Phantom, and she shows up in the sideshow on Coney Island. Anyway, it was like we had a whole night just dedicated to that. So
oh my God, that's crazy.
I would like that and put it with Kiss's Phantom of the Park. So you can, like, Kiss goes to Magic Mountain. I would just keep like that schlock double feature going. Oh my God, that is fabulous. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at this. William Royal. Good morning, Tracy. And William is calling from South Korea. Hi, William.
I have to say one thing. One of my friends used to work at the Hollywood Reporter, and he's a friend of mine. He knew one of the producers of Kingpin, Steve Stabler. Oh, wow. And one time he introduced me to him socially, and I go, oh my God, you produced Kingpin. I've seen it 8 times at least. And he goes, you're sick. I made that movie. I wouldn't watch that 8 times. The man lost every bit of respect for me, like zero after that.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
I apologize for
if you have a fan who says they love your movie, you don't shit on their love of that movie, no matter what it is.
He was pretty horrified at me, but I can't apologize. I just can't.
No, you shouldn't. He was wrong. I mean, he was wrong in this situation.
Huh?
Yeah, no, but I also think it's like you're also celebrating what he made, and I think he put it out there. I mean, these kinds of comedies, people quote from them. It becomes part of their lexicon. It's like it's a thing, and I think there's no higher compliment than
And as far as Farrelly Brothers movies, and I think their best ones are tonally all over the place and messy and weird. This is a kind of good one. I mean, in retrospect, I know when I saw this in the theater, and when I saw it in the theater, I thought this is kind of a step down from what I expected. But when I watched it again on video, with other people in other circumstances, I was like, oh no, it's the same Farrelly Brothers that the others were. Yeah. It's messy and totally disparate, but there's like really good stuff, comedic stuff to mine out of here. There's just good stuff. I mean, we've mentioned Bill Murray before, and this is one of the great Bill Murray performances.
Oscar was blind that year.
He's such
Oscar is always blind.
Yeah.
Nora won Best Picture, and that's all I have to say.
Crash won Best Picture.
Yeah. Nora is way better than Crash.
I mean, that's a bar. Like, it's like, do you like Dahmer or Ted Bundy? It's like, well, Ted Bundy would made partner at the law firm, I guess. Whatever. It's like
the Oscars is garbage. Like all the other award shows, it's nonsense. It doesn't matter. What matters
You're not jaded, though. That's the important thing.
No, I'm not jaded because I know what matters. What matters is what I like and what you guys like, because we actually go to the movies, unlike most of the people who watch the Oscars
or who vote for the Oscars. Yeah. That's true too. That's a good point.
We go, we love it. So fuck the Oscars. Sometimes they're right.
Well, there goes your future nomination. That's secret. So, Carrie, lead us through. In case it's been a minute, 1996, since folks have seen it. What in the heck? What is the plot? What happens in the Peter Bobby Farrelly masterpiece we're here to talk about?
Yes, which, by the way, my brother could not understand why I was talking about it on a podcast called My Favorite Shitty Movie. Because my brother said, I don't know why you're talking about it on that podcast. This is one of the greatest films ever made. That's what my brother had to say.
And that's something we run into a lot on this show, and I totally understand it. But I also think that at a certain point, all of us need to realize that we like stuff that maybe isn't as great as we felt it was when we saw it. I love Ice Pirates.
Robert Urick's finest moment.
It was.
It's so good. It's so good. So start us off. Like, so we were introduced to a very young boy, in the form of gonna grow up to be Woody.
Woody Harrelson starts out as a young boy in the film, and his dad seems to really love him and teaches him how to be this champion bowler and has all these high hopes for his life and his career and who he's going to be. And he grows up, and he's a dude in the 70s, rocking the whole polyester 70s vibe. And he becomes this bowling champion and wins like $1,500 from Odor Eaters. And then he meets a smarmy bowling champion named Bill Murray, aka known as Ernie McCracken or Big Ern. And Big Ern is nothing but trouble. And he teaches Woody Harrelson how to hustle people out of money in bowling alleys and basically bet them that they can't win and pretend that they're really drunk when they're not and defeat them at a bowling game. So Bill Murray, they get in some huge, they win a tremendous amount of money and they leave. But these guys very quickly figure out they've been taken. And they decide to come after Bill Murray and Woody Harrelson. And of course, Bill Murray just hops in his car and speeds away, leaving Woody Harrelson completely thrown under the bus. So the men take Woody back into the bowling alley, shove his bowling hand into one of those machines that the balls come out, and chop off his hand.
It's horrifying. It's actually horrifying.
It pretty much is. Yeah. He can't do the thing that he was like trained from childhood to do. They took that away from him. So Woody falls into the gutter, almost literally. He becomes very heavily involved in booze. He's basically providing sexual services to his landlady in order to pay the rent because he has no money to do so.
Oh my God, I have a clip of this if you guys want to see it now.
Oh, we have to show that. Yeah.
Lin Shaye.
Yeah, here's a clip of my wife Hillary being Lin Shaye and me being Woody Harrelson.
Oh, stop it, you. It wasn't that bad. Ah, my little Roy toy. What is it about good sex that makes me need to crap? I guess it's all that pumping. Pump and dump. You really charged something loose, Tiger. Oh boy. I got 2 bits of advice for you, Munson. Number 1, why don't you forget about this bowling and get yourself a real job? And 2, you still owe me another month's rent. So if I were you, I'd start doing some tongue exercises before Friday.
Oh my God. That was like creepily shot for shot.
That was the definition of go for broke.
Yeah, Hill was. I didn't think Hill would do it, but she was like, "No, this is what we have to do." So
God bless Hillary.
You're the right person, sir.
Yes.
she's in Hawaii right now with her mom.
Oh, lovely.
Close up was so unnerved by the vomiting scene, he nearly jumped out of the air and turned his head around.
That, actually, when we were shooting this, Hillary had to work through her normal response to like if people are stabbed or their heads are cut off, she's like, that's fine. But if there's barfing or any kind of bodily humor involved in stuff, she finds it very revolting, and she finds like barfing really revolting.
Yeah.
So the fact that she worked her way through this,
Dedication.
good for Hill. Good for
Dedication
Hill.
to the craft.
My mom absolutely can't stand that my brother and I have this sick sense of humor together. And she always watches like everything I do. And I really appreciate that. But I told her, I go, Ma, skip this one. Sit this one out. Okay. Just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most of my career, I've told my parents, theatrical career anyway, I've said, don't watch this. It won't. Yeah. Just wait. Maybe I'll show up in a commercial. That'll be fine.
You're an award-winning barfer, Todd, says Jeff Luce. There it is. There it is. So we pick up, right? So Woody's down on his luck. He's trying to sell things, and failing miserably. And then he sees, who does he see? He sees Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid is a young Amish boy with a surprising talent for bowling. And he tries to manage him. And of course, Randy Quaid's not having it. So he goes out to the family Amish farm where he meets up with Randy Quaid. And then he finds out that the Amish families are in a lot of trouble. Apparently, they're going to lose their house and their land, and they need to raise like $500,000. And he says to Randy Quaid, look, we can go to this bowling tournament in Reno, and the prize is $1 million. We'll split it 50-50. I get out of the gutter and don't have to sleep with my landlady, and you can save the Amish family from destruction or losing their home. So everybody wins. Why don't we go out to Reno and do this? And he kind of convinces them to take a road trip to Reno. Along the way, they meet a very sexy woman named Claudia, who apparently has flings with many, many people. And of course, he's haunted by his past with the landlady, but they embark on a road trip and they wind up in Reno. And yep, there's Vanessa Angel. Spoiler alert, he has to face off against his old arch nemesis, Bill Murray, who is not the least bit sorry for abandoning him, having his hands sawed off, and basically just sending him into alcoholism and degradation. But Bill Murray feels, quote, slightly responsible for like a minute or something like that. Anyway, so they have to square off in the big bowling tournament, and Bill Murray's hair gets more out of control with each passing frame. It's the most delightful thing ever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'm going to give a spoiler alert, but then again, it came out in 96, so that is well out of the bag. Roy Munson does not win the bowling tournament, but then he finds redemption anyway and manages to bail out the Amish family with a surprise check. He winds up with Vanessa Angel. It's kind of a movie about redemption and second chances in life and friendship and being on the road. There's so many things that kind of go into this movie. And he kind of redeems Randy Quaid, who basically has, oh God, Randy Quaid goes from being this sweet, innocent Amish boy to drinking, smoking, doing drag queen. But this film would not get made in today's world.
No, it would not.
I don't know, because why not make fun of Amish people? Because they're the one group we can still make fun of, like, regardless. We can do whatever we want, because if they're good Amish people, they will never see it.
That's true.
But he does burlesque. There's an Indecent Proposal reference where he basically
that's like
money in the movie
with Chris Elliott coming in.
Yeah, Chris Elliott. I mean, he goes through all this stuff, and then Woody basically tells his family, "Look, your son saved me. The smoking, the drinking, the wildness, whatever. Your son changed my life." And so his cover's not blown with the Amish family. As far as they know, he didn't do all the things that he actually did.
Right.
And it's kind of a happy ending, and it ends with the whole Amish village dancing to the tune of, I think it's Bare Naked Ladies, but
it's Blues Traveler. Blues Traveler. And
I didn't know all danced, but
it's John Popper. John Popper's playing harmonica. Oh, it's good. It's good. It brought me back to the 90s so hard. I was like,
one of my favorite, like, kind of comedic grace notes, because it's a throwaway they set up, like, visually, like in a poster, and then it's like a quick cutaway, but just the concept of, like, the Jeffersons on ice is it's so delightful. They're like, I love Sherman Hemsley, and you're like, what? And it's just like, it's so well done.
I didn't know if I should feel bad if it's a racist joke, because this is a very white movie, and then
but at least they found some people of color to put on screen. It's a very, very white film. But yeah, I mean, but just like those little, like, things that, again, today people would be like, let's do a focus group on these jokes and what's acceptable. I'm like, it's an R-rated comedy. It's okay. You know, like, literally.
And also, I mean, the Farrelly brothers were consistently inconsistent as far as their tone. They would do pop, like the whole sequence that you referenced, Carrie, about the Robert Redford movie. It, like, goes on for so long, and there's no reason for this to be in the movie. It's very funny. One, because Chris Elliott is so creepy no matter what he does. Did you guys watch his sitcom?
Oh my God, my brother and I totally did. Yes.
What's it called? Like Get a Life? I think it's called Get a Life. And he's the serial killer who lives with his parents.
Oh my God.
It's so wrong on every level. That's what I like about Chris Elliott. Like, he took his Nepo baby status and he was like, I'm just going to be as offensive as possible, because why not?
But Indecent Proposal was such a lightning rod of a movie around that same time. So kind of throwing in that reference, made sense.
Yeah. And it's just hilarious to see Woody Harrelson and Randy Quaid throwing money around.
But also that it's like Woody Harrelson's character is fantasizing about selling his Amish friend for sex to Chris Elliott's version of Robert Redford is so much to unpack, even now, that you're just like, what is happening? The other thing that is totally not funny, and I found myself, in spite of myself, laughing at it, like, they'll do these, like, little random asides that, again, don't need to be in the film, but somehow are. That's almost 2 hours, right? There's a guy who's like, and he's got snake bites all over his face, and he's like wrestling with this obviously fake cobra, but like he's got bites all up and down his face as he's bitching about, this guy's afraid of snakes. It's the most bizarre sequence that I just thought, okay, that's just funny.
And there's a little 7-Year Itch homage when Claudia or Vanessa Angel straddles the bowling device and it blows up her skirt.
They're doing 7-Year. And she is like a really good sport about all of this. I mean, she really is very funny and game, and she does that thing like where there's like a line where, of course, because Woody immediately hates her and she hates him, so they're going to end up together. And it's hilarious because she's like, I'm every guy's type, but she says it in such a sweet way. I'm like, oh, she's so lovely. Like, she's like, if Paul said something like that in Half Shallow Hal, I'd be like, but like this, Vanessa understands the assignment. Like she's very charming.
Yeah, and also she's not Gwyneth Paltrow, so
that is also
that's
accurate.
a plus.
Another
also,
thing. I'm sorry.
No, but also like she's game for these side jokes, but also like so the whole bit about like I'm going to try to, she's dating this like bad guy when we meet her, and they're trying to do this illicit illegal.
He's in other Farrelly Brother movies, and I feel like player, right? I only see this guy in Farrelly Brothers.
I feel like Gavin Rossdale wants his look back a little bit.
Oh my God, that's who I thought it was. I was
he looks like Gavin Rossdale. You're like, yeah. A little bit, but it's funny because so she's like the bad girl who is dating him when they meet, and so she's trying to basically get Randy Quaid off his game. So it's like, oh, let me go get some like beer, right? So obviously we have like the frosted nipple joke, but that's not enough for the Farrelly brothers. Then Randy Quaid, the Amish guy, goes, oh, I'll get it, and then he's in on the game too, and it's like it's equal opportunity. Like silliness, and I think that's part of where the heart comes from. It's not like she's really that objective. It's not that at all. It's just like, oh, this is so silly,
Another thing I noticed in rewatching it before this podcast was when they get to Reno, she meets Big Ern, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Claudia, the times we used to have."
Yeah, you're like
this look of the shame.
Totally. It's like you hooked up with that guy. It's like what? Yeah, and I love this also. It's like the big setup where Woody Harrelson's like, I've been dreaming about what I'd say to you, and I finally saw you again, and he has nothing to say. Like, for years I've thought about nothing. But they must have had so much fun doing this movie. I mean, and then again, more tight gags where you're like, okay, like we're introducing the Amish man to making his own Jack and Coke,
when he goes to the bathroom in the urinal, but he's like pooping in the urinal because he thinks that's right.
He's reading the paper. It's a reveal joke. He's reading the paper, and you think he's on the shitter, but he's not. He's on a urinal. The whole time he was shitting in a urinal.
But I love when he has that one thing. He's like, wow, I've never been in a fancy hotel before, and they're like in a sub Motel 6. He's like, I've never seen someone with a hook pick their nose before, and he just like he has this like list of things, but it's Randy Quaid like perfect comment, and it was a Cousin Eddie like level.
Yeah, it is. It's Cousin Eddie, or like he's great in Parents. I love Randy Quaid. My problem with Randy Quaid is who he is in reality.
He is insane.
Which is true about all the elder Quaids, I guess. We only can hold out hope for Jack. Oh, Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Hard to separate the art from the artist is all I'm going to say here.
Yeah. It's hard, but it's hard, is it not, to, there's movies that Mel Gibson made after we all knew he was a Nazi that I'm like, that's pretty good. God damn it.
But Randy,
so where is that line? Like, that's a good question.
The line is here. Like that reaction shot is everything, where he's just frozen. Like he goes on, the entire scene happens, and he's like, and he just keeps going, and the scene just keeps going. Like these guys know what they're doing. I mean, it's very well done. If you're into this kind of comedy, I'm like, okay, it is. Yeah. But but it's weird too, because it's like, are we sure? I don't know, Celeste. These are good questions.
We're not sure. We are not sure about Randy Quaid, nor should we be.
Yeah. But then again, if Randy Quaid was sensible, I wouldn't know what to do with that. It almost makes sense that Cousin Eddie is who he is in real life. Because if he were like us or thought like we do, I'd be like, wow, I'm confused. Like.
Well, I just love that like good old Dennis Quaid like comes out in a couple movies last year, and like one he's playing Reagan, and the other one he's like the grossest thing in The Substance, which is saying a lot. And I feel like that's an interesting spectrum for one theatrical year from the same actor.
It's I think the spectrum that you're talking about is an actor who just wants to work.
Yes. Yeah, no shade on that.
And it's cool if you're Dennis Quaid, because you were in cool stuff in the 80s, and now you can be in cool stuff.
That cycle he did, where he did the remake of DOA, and then he did like the Big Easy, which I love.
Yeah, that was all around. Like that was like just after Inner Space and
Inner Space, The Right Stuff. He steals that.
Yeah.
I think he and
Yeah,
Shepard both. But yeah, no, he had a really storied career.
and then he's like Dennis Quaid's career is like so interesting the way it rolls because he's been in so many movies that have made an impact on me that I've loved, despite the fact now that I know he's a piece of shit. But like The Rookie, the baseball movie,
so good.
if you've not seen that, it's G-rated. It's not PG, it was G-rated in the early aughts.
And if you're not crying by the end, check yourself.
You have no soul. You have no soul.
It's like
Zero
one of those movies, like I've yet to meet the dude that's like, yeah, I didn't have any reaction to Rudy. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's not possible. You're
well, I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, was one of the few people, like he was a big Field of Dreams guy.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, and I was not a Field of Dreams person. I was like, this is stupid. I don't like this ghost baseball thing. But he loved it, and I was like, oh well, here's a true story that is about baseball that's amazing and made me cry. Here you go, Dad. And he was like, yeah, it was dull as shit.
Oh, I love my Field of Dreams. I feel like James Earl Jones' monologue baseball, Ray. You know, that is one of the great monologues, and I don't know.
Yeah, you're not alone. I'm alone. I don't get it. I'm like, there's all these other baseball movies with Kevin Costner that would go, all these ones made me cry. The one about ghosts does not.
It's no Bull Durham, which is also scripted.
Bull Durham made me cry. It makes me cry.
Yeah, now it's random makes me cry, but yeah, it's a great movie. That I mean, Annie Savoy, what an amazing Crash Davis. I mean, it's like so iconic. But that's the kind of movie I think that we were lucky to grow up being able to see, that middle class film that is a little harder to get made today and seen in the theaters. So I don't know what Costner's thing is with baseball, but God bless. I mean, even Sam Raimi getting in on the action was for the love of the game, right? Of all the things for Sam Raimi to do, a baseball.
The Americana of Kevin Costner. This is such a tangent that we're off on right now, but the Americana of Kevin Costner's career, I would say, is unmatched, regardless of whether you think it's good or bad.
In his generation,
you have like even Waterworld, The Postman, like these like train wreck movies are so Americana. They're so good.
By the way, The Postman is now proficient. Like Louis Joy or whatever the hell his name is, we finally got rid of.
Oh yeah. And I freely admit that slow-mo shot of Kevin Costner delivering mail to that, or getting the letter from that child who's holding it out, and like he runs by and then stops and goes back and gets it.
Yeah,
I will cry every time, and it's so stupid. I shouldn't fall for that.
It works. Waterworks, underrated, as is the stunt show at Universal. I agree with you.
Oh my God.
Waterworld here. How have we not done
Waterworld, the stunt show, which is still happening to this day, is amazing. It's worth it. It is the reason to go to Universal Studios.
It's also for all the attacks it got at the time because of the then perceived over budget and whatever, it did actually wind up making money, and it really holds up better than you think it does. I mean, any movie that opens with your lead character drinking his own urine, calling Dennis Hopper a gentleman guppy or whatever, it's like he's like the villain. It's so crazy. I mean, when Costner's character throws the little girl into the drink, like he's going to drown the little girl, like today there would be focus notes about that. They're like, wait, he's our hero, right? He can't do that. They would totally screw that up. But it's
and if you watch the TV movie version of it, you get to see way more Jack Black than you did in the original theatrical release, which is like on no small level totally delightful because it's Jack Black. How can you not be delighted by his aggressive energy thing?
He's even good in Shallow Hal. I mean, it's a hard role to play, and probably shouldn't.
He's good in everything. Did you watch SNL last week?
No.
He was the host on the past episode of SNL, and it's like pound for pound, if you get this many laughs out of sketches like throughout the 90-minute telecast, he does a better job than most, I would say.
During lockdown, he posted some kind of video online that I watched like a million times because it made me laugh, where he's wearing basically his underwear and cowboy boots and just dancing around his pool in his yard. And I'm like, I need this.
I love that. The ultimate Jack Black performance, Saving Silverman. Ooh, nice.
And a beer bong for the lady.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So why do you think Kingpin kind of endures? Because like I said, it does get played a lot. I see it in LA and repertoire companies. I know friends in my life quote it a lot. Like I knew so much about this film, even though I hadn't seen it until this show. What do you think it is about this mix that keeps it fresh in there?
I think it's kind of got a lot of charm to it, as we've talked about. And I think it's funny, it's gross, it's inappropriate in many ways, but also I think another thing that makes certain films endure is you like an underdog story. Because I think that's another reason Shawshank Redemption is still such a popular film with people, because I think all of us have been Munsoned. All of us have been down and out, some further down than others, but we've all had some rocky moments. And then you want to believe that there's hope, that you're going to get your happy ending. You're going to get that check, that job, that relationship. Things are going to get better,
Right.
Even though they're pretty bad right now. Like I like that line. He says, I can hardly recollect when the world wasn't kicking my ass, or something to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of us have felt like that. Like I can hardly remember a time when things weren't pretty rough. So I think a lot of us have felt Munsoned. A lot of us have been on that bathroom floor puking for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think that's
Have
a
a
good
good
point.
right off into the sunset with our Claudia.
Yeah, and there is a there is a sweetness that kind of the Americana of like bowling, and like the dad who owns the service station, and their homemade bowling alley, and he's teaching his son, like usually it's like throwing catch with your dad, right, going back to the dreams, but this is like bowling, and he's so proud of his son, and there is something very sweet, but then they also cut it with the dialogue when you do the pan at the oh, it's so great to be with all these like professional athletes, and they're all these like significantly overweight folks, and you're just like they're making fun of it, but they're embracing it and they enjoy it, and it just feels very, very American in that.
I'm hard pressed to think of a movie that is a sports comedy that, even if it didn't do well on its initial release, has become some kind of cult phenomenon.
Yeah.
And what you guys are saying about the underdog element, makes that make sense to me. I'm always like, why do I like sports movies? I don't care about sports. I really don't. Like, ladies and gentlemen, Todd Robert Anderson does not care about any sports. Same. I could give a fuck the gender of the people doing the sports or how it fucks up other people doing. I could give a shit less. But if you give me a narrative with a sports, overreaching thing plus underdog, I'm 100% behind it. I mean, like, some of my favorite movies are like Goon, Caddyshack, Slapshot. I mean, it's like so many of my favorite comedies of all time are, and Kingpin definitely is in there. Like stuff that I can just sit down and watch and enjoy, no matter how many times I've seen it before. Like, it puts me in a very specific comfort zone.
Yeah, Scott.
Necessary roughness, sure, yeah. Anything
Major League, right? Major League, also of that era.
Anything with Scott Bakula, regardless of sports, is fine.
Yeah. But it is interesting. This is also the power of what I love about film, because I share your lack of interest in most sports as well. And but there's something like I actually hate boxing. I think it's cruel, it's stupid, it's barbaric. I don't understand it. It's no appeal at all. However, if you're going to show me Golden Boy or Raging Bull or the main event, I am going to be all over boxing movies.
Do you like the Creed movies? The sequels. It's an entire franchise that is a sequel to Rocky IV, which brings me so much joy because Rocky IV is such a terrible movie.
It's so delightful.
And these movies are so good. Like the acting is great, and it's like formulaic, 100% formulaic, but also engaging. And to do that, I think is kind of a special thing, right?
Sometimes the formula works for a reason.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I do think also that the people involved bring something to the formula that hasn't existed before. And it's not something that you can put a fine pin on, but I think it's talent. And it's like, if you look at Creed, you look at Michael Jordan in this part, he's so good. And everybody throughout the franchise, all his nemesises, some of them who should be in jail, I guess now, are very good as the nemesises. They're terrifying. And it's just playing that underdog thing.
Well, I think that's a great point. And also going back to the Americana thing, I mean, I guess this is a weird comparison, but Rocky in a sense and Kingpin end in the same way, in that your protagonist loses, but wins.
Yeah, and it's rare. And by the way, Tracy, I'd like to just say that is the very reason that every Rocky movie continues to work and every Creed movie continues to work, just because in the first Rocky, he lost. So if you have that perspective and you saw the first Rocky and you were engaged in it, then every Rocky after, the fight really matters to you because you know he can lose.
And also our definition of winning in America, it's like he got in the man in the arena. You usually talk about that in politics, but in this case, literally the arena of this very barbaric sport, one might argue. But he shouldn't have been there. And he willed himself into shape. He willed himself into that ring. He willed himself to be worthy of fighting Apollo. And he lost, but like with great dignity and that American spirit. And then when you have enough sense to write that, produce that, star in that, and release it in the bicentennial year, America's going to go, you know what? Best picture, and it's a very simple story, but I think you're right, Carrie. And in a way, I think Kingpin actually is that too. I mean, this guy's a loser. But at the end of the day, he finds redemption. He gets the hot girl. I'm glad she's moved on from Bill Murray as well, and the Gavin Rossdale lookalike. And at least when he's like kind of being charming and he's kind of figuring himself out. But I love that there's this almost like Deus Ex Machina. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to sell condoms, and now I've made money. You're like, what?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it's like, what? Like, they just like drop that in right before the film ends, and you're like, okay, so we wanted a happy ending for our guy, And
also, there's the talisman of his dad gave him that pocket watch, and that was a special heirloom family type item. He couldn't get it to work, and then Claudia said, "Well, you just wind it." And then she gave it back to him. And that was kind of, I think, a way of saying your dad is proud of you. You are going to keep the watch. The watch is going to find a way to work. And that was kind of a symbol of that in the movie. That it was a poignant moment, I think.
Yeah. And it's like, you're like this watch. I'm winding you up and you've got a future. It's like we're moving forward. And then he's moving forward out of frame and into a bright light, into hopefully a better future. But then you also have like this kind of great, closing of the circle where, Randy Quaid gets back with his like cute little Amish gal and, who we always liked. And he's gotten to have a little bit of a worldly adventure, but you get the idea. He's really happy. He's with the love of his life too. The farm is saved. Everybody has learned everything. And so those are really
delightful and happy. And then if that's not enough, you get Blues Traveler.
The Blues Traveler.
Well, during lockdown, I mean, I've talked about this on my Hollywood Kitchen thing, but I got so obsessed with the Busby Berkeley backstage movies of the 30s.
Yeah.
And I would just watch them constantly. I'll probably watch another one later tonight. And I kept thinking, why am I of all the DVDs I have, why do I keep doing this? But then I thought, well, in a world filled with terror and uncertainty and scary things, there's kind of comfort in knowing how something's going to end.
Yes.
Like I know that the Great Depression showgirl meeting Dick Powell and the show's a hit and everybody's in love and everybody's happy and blah, blah. That's a formula. And obviously it's not very realistic. Probably not going to happen most of us, but something about that, knowing that it's going to be okay. Knowing that you're going to get your man, the show's going to be great. You're not going to get kicked out of your apartment by the landlady because you can't pay the rent. Like it's all going to be okay. And during scary times, I want to know that one way or the other, I'm going to be okay. So I think that's why the fixation on the Gold Diggers movies for me.
Yeah. No, but I think that's right. And I think, there've been studies recently, I think born out of a lot of the pandemic viewing habits. People started realizing, why are we watching the same thing over and over again? And there's psychologically comforting about that versus taking a chance on a new thing that you might not know or like, because we're so, I think it's trauma. It's a global trauma we're still going to be unpacking for a long time. I mean, this is, it was a terrible time and everything else that's happened since. But I think that's right. But that we need these kinds of comedies. Jeff Luce, for those listening, is asking, is this like the only movie featuring the Amish that doesn't mention Rumspringa?
I don't know the answer to this question, but
Does
it's
Witness?
very interesting to me. Does Sex Drive mention Rumspringa at any point?
I don't know about Witness either.
Witness definitely doesn't. Have you ever seen the documentary, speaking of Rumspringa, The Devil's Playground?
No.
Oh my God. If you are interested in the Amish on any level, and you're interested in what Rumspringa is, this documentary shows you how it works. And it's both hilarious and heartbreaking on the worst levels. Like people are excommunicated from their families.
I don't know. Right now, given how scary the world still feels, I'm having trouble watching movies that pull surprises on me. Again, I want to know everything's going to be okay. And I kind of need to.
I'm like right now I'm leaning heavily into monster movies because I don't know. I find it comforting when you're fighting monsters that aren't human. They're like monsters. They're like giant things or alligators or whatever, fish or whatever. It's easier for me to process those emotions when they're not things that are currently happening to me.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. So final thoughts, Todd, that do you have on Kingpin?
I'm 100%. I'm a lover of Kingpin. I've decided. I have it on Blu-ray. And I have a lot of the Farrelly Brothers movie, all the R-rated ones I have, some of the PG-13 ones I don't. And I'm all over the map about how I am about them, but I go back to them. Like I go back to Me, Myself, and Irene. I go back to Dumb and Dumber. I go back to this. I go back to There's Something About Mary, because there's an itch that no other movies can scratch, but Farrelly Brothers movies. And I wish that wasn't true, but I think it is.
It's an interesting thing because it's like, did they peter out, or did society change enough where the R-rated comedy got fewer and fewer too? Right.
I that's such a good point. I think about that all the time. It's like like when your comedy is shock value, it's gross out, it's shock value, it's all these things you haven't seen. At a certain point, there's nothing that these people who showed these things to you.
Well, Hillary, you need to get that itch looked at.
You know where that itch is at.
Played, sir.
There's nothing that you can be shown at a certain point that will shock or do this to you that the Farrelly Brothers might have done early on.
Yeah.
It's just it's shock comedy. So now everything seems to be relegated to right-wing talking points. That's the shock. Oh my God, I dared to say that black people are inferior to white people. So isn't that awesome? Isn't that great? No, it's not. It didn't shock me. It's boring. And it's not true. But I sort of miss this level of shock value comedy, but I don't know what that would be right now.
I just had a point to make that it just hit me, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how, Todd, you were kind of saying how Anora was, well, here's what I was thinking. Anora and Kingpin actually have a lot in common. If you think about it, you've got a person that's kind of the underdog. She's a stripper in a Brooklyn club, basically, or Queens or wherever that was in New York. And then you've got this rich Russian oligarch. They get together. The oligarch runs off, not unlike Bill Murray did in Kingpin.
Totally.
The mom and dad come in, I've seen Anora. And of course, they have this comedic pursuit. And then the diamond ring he gives her that the family wants back, the guy takes for her. So that's his version of the watch in Kingpin.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
She goes up against this Russian family with all the money, wealth, and resources, but they're really freaking awful, not unlike Bill Murray and Kingpin. And at the end, she finds love of a sort, redemption of a sort. She gets the diamond ring back, and the underdog comes out on top. And maybe that is why that won Best Picture.
Hey.
Oh, that's really interesting. So what you're saying is, I just want to be clear. What you're saying
That is so good.
Is that Nora won Best Picture is sort of like an apology to Kingpin for not.
I mean, you can draw a lot of parallels here. Is kind of what I'm saying.
I'm not arguing against it. I'm just clarifying it.
Also,
and I totally agree. You're right. Kingpin is a better movie than Anora. Therefore, should have won Best Picture in 1996. I agree.
Also, Kingpin at almost 2 hours is like the first act of The Brutalist. So that there was also probably like Academy members might have died before they got to the end.
I have not seen The Brutalist yet. Okay, you two tell me. Should I see this movie?
I haven't seen it either. I wanted to, but I just didn't have 3.5 hours plus intermission in my schedule at the time. So I like Adrian Brody. I like Guy Pearce. Hopefully, maybe I'll.
Guy's great. Guy is amazing in this. But watch it at home. Like I would treat it if you're going to sit through it, Todd, because I think you might hate it. Do 2 hours and 2 hours. Like break it into 2 days. Don't
break it into two. Make it or should I do like 1 hour over 4 nights? Like the new version of Hateful Eight. Just
or like what I like to call Oppenheimer. Also on Best Picture. Yeah. There's a trend. Oh my God, it's like older white guys.
I forgot Oppenheimer won Best Picture.
Like whatever. Who's talking about Barbie still? Anyway,
when the movie is the longest.
I love Barbie, I have to say.
I loved Barbie. But also, like when you give something that's 4 hours long, the editing award, I'm like, come on.
I didn't like Barbie, but I don't imagine that would mean I would like The Brutalist.
Brutalist is its own problem.
Last night I went to the New Beverly and they had an Anime Wong triple feature in 35 millimeter, which where else in the world can you get that on a Tuesday night? I asked. I did all the triple feature, and those movies were roughly about an hour each. They included so much plot and action in the 1 hour time frame.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing the economy that filmmakers worked with in the past that they don't seem to have today in terms of the running time of some of these films.
It's interesting, but they do exist.
Then I don't care about the runtime. My problem is when I feel it, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And
you're right. If it's 80 minutes and it feels like 3 hours, it's a failure. That's all it is. That's all it is. I agree.
I love Aliens. You know what? It's 2 hours and 17 minutes, and I wouldn't cut a one. But it's like
I love shortcuts. I'll watch shortcuts whenever you want. I'm not even sure if it's good, but it's entertaining for 3 hours.
I always say when people defend Crash, I'm always like, did you see Altman Shortcuts? Because that's the great version that there.
Well, like the films last night, they just got a lot done in a short length of time. They were concise. I will say that. They were very concise. Concise and entertaining.
All right. Concise and entertaining, like we try to be, and we fail. Okay, Todd, do you want to go first with your be bad, be best?
Yeah, be bad or be best. This is Carrie. We're gonna give you titles of movies, and you decide whether they're so bad nobody should ever watch them under any circumstances, or they're so bad it's too awesome and everybody needs to see it.
Fair.
Mike, I'm going with a Farrelly Brothers movie because I'm actually curious if you guys have seen this, what you thought of it. I obviously own it, so I have my feelings about it on certain levels. It's called Hall Pass. It's got Owen Wilson and Jason Sudeikis. Late Farrelly Brothers R-rated stuff. Probably, I'm trying to think of their last one and whether or not it was PG-13 or not, but this might be their last R-rated movie. Carrie, be bad or be best for you?
I did not see that one, to be honest. So,
well, you don't have to have seen it. You can judge. You can judge the box art here, and knowing what you know about these guys and the Farrelly Brothers and their R-rated stuff. And this is a very, I mean, the Farrelly Brothers are all part of the problem is they're dude oriented, but this is a very dude oriented movie. So, given all those things, what would you say?
No.
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to sit that one out. But again, I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's fair. You can, it's hard to say. You don't have to say.
You know,
maybe Tracy can weigh in, and then if you decide that you have a choice after she weighs in, when you've thought about it, you can.
I, again, not seeking out these kinds of broad bro comedies, not my thing.
What? Why not?
Shocking. It's so weird. But I do like the Owen Wilson. And this is Jason before I thought he was, before Ted Lasso by a lot. And yeah, he's usually fun. So I bet they're probably good together, but I would have to turn on cable and it would have to be playing. Is my feeling.
Well, and remember that, like in these bro comedies that the Farrelly Brothers put out, they force upon it heart, whether you want there to be some or not. So there is heart to this.
All
so,
right.
So, but are you? So that's a B. What?
B. I'll say B best because I like the cast.
B best for the cast. Yeah. All right. Do you want to change your judgment, Carrie?
B?
Yeah. You want to stay neutral?
Switzerland.
I'm going to stay neutral on this one. It's funny because when I was in college, school, you watch a zillion movies in film school a week and everything. And I was so game to watch anything on the planet thrown at me. And the older I get, the pickier I get because I feel like my time is increasingly limited. Yeah. And I'm just a lot more finicky than I used to be about stuff. So,
yeah, I get that.
I get that.
My be bad, be best, because I feel like the world saw it. Also, Farrelly Brothers, the aforementioned, There Is Something About Mary. The guys who did Dumb and Dumber and Kingpin bring you a love story. I would argue Kingpin and Dumb and Dumber are love stories also, but who am I to argue with Fox promotion? Be bad, be best, Carrie.
I liked Something About Mary. It was a fun movie.
Yeah,
I'd say be best.
Okay, Todd.
It's a B best for me, but I would say approach it with caution because there's something about Mary. I've seen it so many times, and it's like a go-to movie when I'm in certain moods. And sometimes I'm like, "This is genius," and other times I like, "This is very good." Yeah. So it depends. It's like a mood movie. If you're in the right mood for this, it's like Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
Like that movie.
Get made today.
Never.
No. Well, it shouldn't have been made when it was made. that's what's special
It's all
about
kinds
Tropic
of
Thunder.
inappropriate and all kinds
But
of
yeah, absolutely. But both of them are movies that if I'm in the right mood, it will hit me right. But if I'm not, then it just reeks of mediocrity. It's the weirdest thing. I would say that's a thing about Farrelly Brother movies. I know Tropic Thunder is not one, but and so you know, Ben Stiller movies too, like are real hit or miss for me. And they can be hit or miss for me within the title according to the mood I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Weird.
I get it.
Have you ever written a book on not comfort movies per se, but mood movies?
That would be a good.
That is a good. That's
Yeah.
good, but it's hard to figure like you could do one title for and like break it down according to the mood.
There is a book, I think it came out maybe 10 or 15 years ago that was called something like Cinema Therapy. And it was like, if you're sad and depressed or if you're lonely or whatever, and then it kind of grouped genres, but with like a little bit of therapy kind of framing, I would say. But I think that would be actually a good, we need it now. I swear to God. It's like
updated version.
Updated version, yeah. I would say post 2016. There's a whole new thing. Okay, Todd. So should we do
yeah, we'll do when bad films happen to good actors.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first this time?
I will. So I absolutely, as a kid, my parents rented like the first cycle of Agatha Christie movies. So like Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express, and then later it would be like The Mirror Cracked. And I always loved them. It's what got me into reading Agatha Christie. I love a good mystery, still do. And it was like also an all-star cast half the time. The one exception to that rule that I never liked was Evil Under the Sun. Now this has, Peter Ustinov is back as the great Belgian detective, Hercule Poirot. You also have Jane Birkin, who was in actually Death on the Nile as well, now that I think about it. But you've also got James Mason, Roddy McDowall, Sylvia Miles, Diana Rigg, for God's sake, shows up. And of course, great Maggie Smith also returning. I just don't think this one works. I think it's really flat despite this incredible cast and wonderful source material. But
so who is the biggest victim in this?
I just feel like it's a waste of everybody. Like I think Ustinov is actually, despite the fact that Finney, I think Lumet's Murder on the Orient Express is probably the most highly regarded. Bergman got supporting actress Oscar for that, but I've always loved Death on the Nile. So to me, that's the gold standard for me. A Mirror Cracked is pretty great too, because Elizabeth Taylor is wearing that crazy shower cap and like, it's like fabulous. But I don't think this one works. I think this one is just flat as can be. And so, but I love the cast. So it's like I love seeing them later in life all back together, and I just don't think the film works, which is weird because the rest of them to me are so satisfying. So that was my entry this week.
That's a good one. Mine is another Farrelly Brothers movie. I think Gwyneth Paltrow didn't deserve this. Shallow Hal. I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow is trying to help people. She's trying to get you to steam your vaginas, and and to be in such a misogynistic PG-13 piece of shit, it just seems below her.
This okay.
Sorry, so I couldn't keep going.
I can't, but like, let's put the poster back up because this talks about
there you go.
Now, Gwyneth is many things, but busty, and that figure is not one of them. So here they are doing a movie about, your inner skinny person, where the skinny person they hired to play the heavy person is not good looking enough body wise to be on the fucking poster of Shallow Hal. That is not her body. And I'm like, good for her. Like, I'm just saying, this is such a problem.
That's Jennifer Aniston's body.
It's not even, it's like, what are you guys doing? I think this is such an unnecessary film then, now, and forever. And the fact that you can't even put the real skinny chick on her own poster is like barf. You know what I mean?
Tracy, I have a friend who used to design movie posters. There were fights all the time over like, their breasts have to be bigger, their butt has to be.
And I'm like,
constantly. Like,
hired Gwyneth, put her on her poster. I mean, I worked for Jennifer Aniston when her first one she was as a star was Picture Perfect, And so went to Fox and picked it up, and we did the big unboxing, I guess, as the kids would say today. And she was like, "Oh Jesus, it wasn't her body on Picture Perfect." She's like, because she's short. And it was like this, like Charlize Theron's legs, and Jen has she's an adorable, beautiful woman. But it's like, really, why can't she be on her own poster? And this is that era of just like, come on, you hired the star, put the star on her damn poster, or don't, it makes me crazy. I don't know. With or without it being Paltrow. it's a thing I have.
Yeah. It's easy to not like Paltrow, but it's hard to be.
It would have been a much different ski trial. Oh my God, John Hillary for the win, my friend.
Yeah.
I did miss half a day of skiing. Oh, okay, let's go to court. That's terrible. You can't relate to that in Park City. Amazing. I'm so happy for that. Aniston is my husband's hall. Oh, husband has good taste. Avi. Okay, I would say the one.
I love the hall pass thing because it always comes like you have no shot at Jennifer Aniston. John, I love you. No shot. So if your wife said,
his husband,
yeah, you can go fuck it, Jennifer Aniston, whenever you want.
It's pretty safe. That no one's going to cross a line. So the next one we do is like the boost. We try to end on a
here we go. It was the boost.
So
why didn't you do my wasted actor in a film?
Oh yeah, do you have one?
Yeah, actually.
Please. Yeah,
I was just thinking about it the other day. I like the film Sabrina. I'm a big Billy Wilder fan. I love Audrey Hepburn, of course. And I love Bogey. But Bogey and Audrey are not a good combo. It's like they are on two different planets in that movie.
And generations.
Generations. And she's so delicate and this Ganine and everything. And Bogey is so craggy and rough. I mean, Bacall and Bogey obviously were like a match made in heaven. Audrey and Bogey are just like, this makes no sense.
Creepy.
These two people do not belong in the same movie. And that's not just the age gap, but it's just their styles, their personality. They have zero chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he and Bacall sizzled up that screen, he and Audrey left that screen cold.
I think that is so fair. Also, when William Holden's like right there is that. So that makes sense. But yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. And it's also one of my favorite Hollywood tropes that also reminds me of one of my favorite scenes with Bogart too, which is in The Big Sleep. Was it Dorothy Malone who takes off the glasses and, all of a sudden she's made over and they're like, oh, Audrey Hepburn, the little chauffeur's girl. She went to Paris and she took off her glasses. You guys, I didn't even recognize her. And you're like, it's Audrey Hepburn. It's like, no one looks like Audrey Hepburn. She's flawless and like an angel on earth. They're like, oh, I didn't. She went to Paris for a year. I'm like, okay. I can see why you couldn't recognize her. It's
she does come back with the Givenchy wardrobe, which I'm sure made a difference.
I'm like, come on, no one looks like Audrey. That's why she's Audrey. Yeah, no, it's a weird conceit that we do. The makeover is always my favorite. Amazing. All right. So the one I wanted to boost actually, because Jen,
you're going first. I don't get to go first.
I am. I'm doing
fine, Tracy.
Looking for Mr. Goodbar finally.
Oh my God, that movie is great
on DVD. It's 4K. It's wonderfully done.
Is that a Criterion one? Or
it's not. It's Kino Lorber. They put it out, and part of the problem with this and why there was such a lag time, because it's again, Diane Keaton comes out with this the same year she wins the Oscar for Annie Hall, so there's a pool of talent, right? This movie might have helped in the disco bar scene, just with one of the most shocking endings ever. Richard Brooks, wonderful performance. If you're a Diane Keaton fan and you only discovered her later in life with Nancy Myers, go back to this one. But part of the reason they couldn't get it cleared was it's a who's who of the best of disco, so they couldn't afford the music clearance because the film was way before we were thinking about home video. And so they finally figured out the rights and got it out there. So if you like Diane Keaton, if you care about some of the best dramas of the 70s, this is both of those boxes are checked here. It's a wonderful film. And I'm kind of surprised no one's redone it with like Grindr in a modern setting. And thank God they haven't, because it wouldn't be this good. So I wanted to just like kind of boost looking for Mr. Goodbar. You can finally see it. It's worth seeing.
It's a great movie. I'm 100% behind that. Do you have anything you want to boost, Carrie?
Can we boost whatever we want?
Yeah.
I mean,
whatever you want, like whatever movie. It doesn't matter what it is.
Okay. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, my most favorite Valentino silent film. I think it's his best. It recently, in March, just last month, finally came out on Blu-ray, and I've been waiting on this forever. So happy that happened.
That's
And
fabulous.
it's such a good film. It's my favorite of his.
And that's the famous, like, the tango, right? That put
That's
him
where he
on.
does the tango down. And I think
Oh,
talk about this one forever, but you can literally kind of see him turning into a movie star in this
Yes.
movie. Like you can see it's kind of like his Pretty Woman, the transformation of
Yes.
character actor becoming a star. And he does a tango dance scene. He romances a woman. He fights in the war. He's just, I think he's never been better. I love that movie.
Yeah, he's amazing. And also, I mean, some of the camera work in this, because it was silent. So it was like, there's like a long, kind of shot of the camera through the people dancing. And then there's a table and it goes on and on and on and on. And it's just this absolutely for its time. We might take it for granted, but when you saw what the size of those, the logistics involved with that, it still holds up. It's still gorgeous. And no one's cooler than Valentino. I just think he's like the great first screen lover and always will be. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm with you. Todd, what do you
love that movie. I'm going with my boost is a movie that stars James Roday from Psych. Do you remember that TV show?
Yeah,
he's in it, and Desmond Askew, who is in Go, the John August picture, and also Teresa's, the torture porn organ harvesting movie. And it's also got Eugene Levy of SCTV and American Pie fame. And it's a gross out comedy, a gross out romantic comedy along the lines of Farrelly Brothers. It's also got me. And it's called National Lampoon Presents Replicate.
Wow.
So I'm boosting this because I need you guys to start watching my shit. Look at that. Look at that. It's so good.
Oh my God. I love it. Well, then I want to be shameless. You can get our book.
Yes, Bizarro. I can't wait to read this shit because I sat and listened to you guys talk, and you guys could only have 8 minutes or 10 minutes to talk. And I was like, oh no, you couldn't say enough. Oh,
it celebrates the holidays. They probably still have it at Larry Edmonds. Our publicity stills of photos of stars celebrating every holiday you can think of. And Easter's coming up. So we do have a whole Easter chapter.
Oh, I love it.
My favorite one of my favorite Easter photos in here is the bunny leering at the starlet. And you can see the bunny, even through the mask, he's got bad intentions here.
He's a killer. Look at him.
That bunny mask has bad intentions. There's no way it can look at anything without bad intention.
I love
That's
that.
great. That's awesome.
Todd,
here's my book, Murder Valley. It's a fiction. It's not like these guys' movies. It's a fiction. It's about
maybe one day it could be a movie.
I think it should be. I think it should be. Yeah. So next week, what do we have to look forward to? Do you know, Tracy?
Do I know? I don't know. Do we know?
I do. Crix is coming back to the show.
Oh, Canadian.
And we're going to talk about the movie Canadian Bacon.
Yes.
Directed by some guy who's a politician. I don't know what Michael Moore is.
Oh, wow. Can we even talk about Canada now? I mean, they hate us. They should hate us.
That's why Crix said, hey, we should do this, because this movie is literally about what Trump is doing to Canada now. And the weird thing is when I saw it back in the day when I was a kid, I was like, this isn't funny. I want some jokes. Where's the jokes?
He's
and if you watch it now, it's still lacking in jokes, but it's funny.
What a great setup. Everybody tune in as we talk about the void of joke comedy.
It's so funny because it's actually right. I mean, that's the weird thing about it.
Okay. All right. So, and Crix will be back, who we love, who's a
Yes.
wonderful, wonderful guest as well. But a big thank you, Carrie, for finally we got it together and you're on this program. Everybody,
Thank you for doing this.
Hollywood
Yes.
Kitchen, check it out. Because Carrie, you've been at that for a while too. I mean, there's many episodes of like great recipes and it's fun. I mean, I remember one of the ones I loved the most was Boris Karloff's guacamole. I'm like, yes, it's like when you're doing Halloween, get that in there. And it was just like, oh, listen to the British guy do his thing. So
Sarah Karloff did confirm he put sherry in his guacamole, so that's legit.
God bless him.
I started doing Hollywood Kitchen just to do it during lockdown because I was by myself in my apartment and just to give myself something fun to do. And I'm very lucky that I know enough amazing people that can be guests. And I'm still having so much fun with it. I think this week will be my 138th episode.
Congrats.
So Friday night, you can see it live on my Facebook page. I'm going to have Eddie Muller, and we're going to make Evelyn Key's 1949 published recipe for Cuban pears.
Wow.
It's basically pears covered in rum, lime juice, and with nutmeg that you put in the oven.
God.
So everybody's going to win.
I'm in.
And I'm having so much fun. So the website's hollywoodkitchenshow.com, where you can see the recipes, the videos, photos of how it did or did not turn out. And Tracy, I need to get you on it. I need to make that happen. I would love that.
I nothing I love more than like cooking and old Hollywood and all of that good stuff. I would love that. Amazing. And then also for everybody, again, especially if you're in LA, you're already here. Go take one of Carrie's tours at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. It's absolutely fantastic. And you also have special tours, but sometimes night tours as well, right, Carrie?
Cemeterytour.com. I can't do the night tour if there's a movie, a concert, a shoot, or a rental, which eliminates like a tremendous amount of the schedule. Okay. So they kind of pop up occasionally, and I put it on social media. This one's going to be really special. April 13th from 7 to 10. They are 3 hours, but I've never had anybody complain about the time. Because
I've taken her tours. You will not feel the runtime. It is not the brutalist. Let me just say
it's not the brutalist. And I think I have an idea of how I'm going to end it because I do it a lot different than the day tour. I do different graves. Sometimes I end it with different people. I usually ended it with Vampira because that felt like the right thing to do. But we just got David Lynch. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get a box of donuts and maybe we'll sit in the moonlight with David Lynch and eat some donuts. So I think that's how the night tour is now going to end.
A lovely, lovely.
That's
lovely
amazing. I want to do that.
Come do it. Come take
it. Let's plan it.
Tracy, get me free tickets to your friend's tour.
You're gonna pay my friend because you're gonna want to support. Yes, no, it's a wonderful. I've taken a tour. In fact, this is a true story. My now wife, Kimberly, and I, one of our first dates, I took her to Carrie's tour, and I was right around New Year, right before New Year's, and it was rainy and misty, and Kim's kind of goth and cool, and I was like, yeah, that kind of sealed the deal. It was good.
Oh, that's great.
It's good. It's wonderful.
God damn it. I'm full of warmth and happiness about a cemetery right now.
As we should be. It's gorgeous.
Celebrating the lives and the legacies and the artistry of these incredible.
It's a celebration of life. That's what the
Absolutely.
Hollywood Cemetery is.
And it's about redemption, just like Kingpin. That was stretching, but we're bringing it back to one. Thank you, Carrie, so much for coming on.
Thank you,
Everyone,
Carrie.
be great to each other and be kind because we're all going through things. Oh, Jeff Luce, everyone go support the Amateur this weekend. Oh, that's the Rami Malek. Yes, it's a theatrical film, people.
No, I won't. I won't support it. It's PG-13 and it's got Rami Malek. I don't fucking want it. I don't want it. I'm going to go see that R-rated movie that like Alex Garland made, even though Alex Garland's movies are boring.
Oh, yeah.
Give me an R rating. I can't deal with his PG-13 bullshit. I can't.
Has anger issues. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you again next week, and go support Carrie's tour. And if you're coming to LA, it's a must. It's seriously, it absolutely is. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.